Hi everybody, Richard Seaton here. First of all, Louis, thank you very much for inviting me to talk about simple meditation to this closed group. I know there are more than 1,000 people in this group, and I know for a fact that some of you meditate regularly, yeah? So let me tell you what I've done. I've been meditating most days since about 1981, so I have done a few hours, you could say. The purpose of this very short video is to talk a little bit about meditation so you can start doing your own meditation sessions later on, after this. You can also PM me if you find it interesting. We can set up a private group if you like to take this further if you want to, rather than in the general group. Because we don't want everybody who's not interested to be inundated with all our videos, okay? So let's start at the beginning. This is for people who don't know a thing. Let's ask the question, what exactly is meditation and why is it useful? So bear with me for a minute or two here and I'll just set a scene for you. This thing we call life, it's very odd, isn't it? Because we come into this world apparently from nowhere in particular, depending on what you were taught when you were a kid, and we immediately start to interact. The first thing we feel when we come out is cold and hunger. We see all these faces, the friendly one who feeds us, which we end up calling Mum, the scary ones who stare at us and make funny noises, Dad and everyone else really. That builds up a bit of fear, doesn't it? Because you don't know what these people want, what they expect from you. So you're trying to put them into understandable pigeonholes in your head so that you know how to respond, and Mum gets the biscuit because she's the one who's always nice to you, hopefully. Then we start to move around, don't we, when we're about 6 months or a year old. We start crawling about the place and we try to stand up and we keep falling over and we get pain and more fear. So we go back to Mum for reassurance and approval, yeah? That's what we do, and we actually do that for most of our lives in one way or another. Then there's interaction with other people. Nobody seems to understand what we want because we haven't really learnt to talk, so we get angry and we get frustrated. So they send us to school to learn properly, and when we get to school we start learning by trial and error and copying other people. And we meet kind people at school and we meet unkind people, so we start to categorise them again, the ones we like and the ones we don't like. And of course we start learning stuff we don't like to do, mainly chemistry, I found. That's my story. Then we start to notice the opposite sex, or possibly the same sex, depending on your preference, and we fall in love, which creates great pain and disappointment because nobody can actually fulfill all our expectations in a relationship, or very unlikely. So then we get thrown out to earn a living, and off we go to work, and everybody there, again, it's a whole new gamut of people. You either get on with people or you don't, and all the rest of it. We have a family and we go off, and they all go off and do stupid things like my kids have done, and they do their best. I did the same. You know, we go off and do what we want and destroy our parents' expectations. Often. Then there's death of loved ones, isn't there? The people you're close to. Sometimes it's parents, sometimes it's even your own children. So we learn all about grief and we learn all about loss. Sometimes it's a long process and sometimes it's a short process. Always very painful. More pain, more fear. So what do we end up doing? We start looking at our own mortality, don't we? How did we get here? Why are we here? What's going to happen to us when we die? We've never been told any of this stuff. It's all really confusing, painful, and seemingly meaningless and random. But we still have to try and sort it out, don't we? Try to make some sense of it all. Actually, many people never seem to bother. Do you know what? They either think it's a waste of time, they think they're too busy, they don't want to ask questions because actually they're scared of the answers, or it's too much work, or they were so well brainwashed early on that they haven't got any questions. They just have complete faith in what they were told. That's fine, it actually works. But some people just won't stop asking, will they? You know, I was one of those. I just kept on and on. I just wouldn't accept other people's views of what happens. I had to find out. And that brought me to meditation in about 1980. And that's where meditation comes in, believe me, because that's where the questions start to get answered. Because meditation, this is what meditation is, okay? Real meditation is about learning how to unhook ourselves. You know, all those temporary hooks we made all the way through our lives with school and all the relationships and things. It's all about learning how to temporarily unhook ourselves from all those learned responses, okay, and habits which endlessly make us unhappy. And the best way to do this, okay, this is really important. This is the crux of meditation. The best way to do this is to repeat the process of life every time you sit down. Unhook yourself from all those temporary environments that you've created and believed in for so long. You know, the belief systems. So here's how we start. Let's just get practical. The first thing you do, number one, is you want to be comfortable. So you find yourself a nice place to sit. You do not want to be aware of your physical body when you're meditating. It's just a distraction. So before you start, get rid of any tension and stress in your muscles, stretch your neck and your back, get yourself nice and relaxed. You can sit in a chair or you can sit on the floor on a cushion, anything you like, but the important thing is to be comfortable. Sitting in awesome Buddhist asana positions, you know, actually doesn't make any difference at all to where we're going with this. All those postures and postures, they're actually designed to learn about physical energies within the body, like the Kundalini, the Ida, the Pingala, all these different energies, the auras, the chakras, if you believe in all that sort of stuff. But it really is totally immaterial to meditation. Where we're going to be going is far deeper in that, so you don't need to worry about all that stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to get rid of all the distractions for 15 minutes, okay? Now, this 15 minutes is your time. So you switch off your mobile phone, you unhook your landline, you tell your family to go away, no interruptions, no musical distractions, no CDs, no tapes, all those things, not for that 15 minutes. Because what we're going to be doing is retracing our entry into this physical world and how and why we became so lost and confused in the first place. So what we'll start doing is we'll begin with the physical body and slowly and gradually work back through the different ways we have learned to interact with the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're unhooking. It's often referred to as picking a silk off a rose bush. You have to do it ever so carefully so you don't damage it. We have to unhook our physical bodies, which we've done by finding a nice comfortable place. We're not in pain, we haven't got indigestion, we're sitting there, we're nice and comfortable. Now we're going to look at our emotions, which are the next level of interaction we have with the world. And then our analytical thought processes, the endless stream of endless nonsense that chatters away in our heads, which we hear so often. We're going to keep it absolutely simple. What we're going to do is we're going to follow our breath in and out. Okay? That's all we're going to do, nothing else. We're going to follow our breath in and out. And to make that easier, we're going to count each breath in our heads, okay? The reason we're going to do that is to occupy our thoughts and stop them from getting lost in other distractions, because there's an endless amount of thought flying around in there and you do not want to get dragged into it. That's not meditating, that's just having a nice fantasy sit down. By doing this breath meditation and counting the breath, this is a very, very powerful way to prepare yourself for deeper states that you'll find later on. So here's how we do it. Are you ready? We're sitting in a quiet place. I'm going to do a little bit here just to show you. We're sitting in a quiet place and counting the in-breath, then holding, then exhaling. We're going to do each of those for 4 seconds. I'll repeat. The reason we count the breath and fix down on it is to occupy our grasshopper minds and stop them from being distracted into the endless other things that, you know, flying off all over the place. What we're doing is we're moving back slowly letting go and withdrawing. Okay, we're withdrawing from the physical world. We're looking for that completely still witness that sits behind our eyes, our feelings and our thoughts, and simply is. It's a still place that has no investment in any of this, it just watches. Okay, so we're going to let it all fall away. Just sit there and see what you notice. Don't get pulled in to anything you become aware of. Whatever you become aware of when you're sitting in that state, just watch it. Don't get involved. Just sit back and watch. You'll hear things in there, and you'll see things that you've never come across before. So you want to see how you respond. This is very interesting. See what you notice. How do you respond? Do you respond with fear? Do you recoil back? Do you show interest? Just don't do either. Just sit neutral. And if you do recoil back or find yourself going into places, then just go back to that place. You snap out of the meditation for a moment. Go back to the breath. Whenever you get confused in there, just go back to that breath counting, because that's your focal point. That's the center you're going to work from. Nothing of that other stuff, just the center. So go back to the place you found right at the beginning with the breath, just as you sat down, and just sit with it. Nothing can harm you in there. There's nothing there except you. That's all there is. There's nothing to harm you. Okay? So you're going to sit. You're going to make your arms comfortable. You're going to close your eyes. I'm going to feel the breath on the back of your throat and the tip of your nose. And you're going to count in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. You can vary the count to suit your own breath and the capacity of your lungs. And you don't say this out loud, by the way. This goes on inside. You're just occupying your thoughts with that. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out. So go away and try that now. I hope this has given you some idea of what meditation is all about. Don't forget to prepare a special place and sit and do this every day, preferably in the morning and maybe at last thing at night. Maybe see you on another one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.